Ellen. The woman who twirled into our hearts like a blonde tornado of quirky smiles, free iPads, and emotional blackmail disguised as giveaways. The high priestess of Be Kind, who built a billion-dollar brand on forced dancing, pastel lies, and passive-aggressive interviews that made celebrities age in real time. For years, she convinced the world she was America's fun aunt, while allegedly running a workplace that made Game of Thrones look like a trust fall. But behind every awkward laugh and Ellen Tube clip was a trail of ghosted proteges, traumatized writers, and A-listers blinking help in Morse code. We're talking petty edits, sheep invasions, luxury mansion jail complaints, and enough PR stunts to power a Bravo spinoff. It's not just a fall from grace, it's a bungee jump into a volcano made of BuzzFeed reports, viral memes, and designer hypocrisy. So grab your popcorn, brace your morals, and get ready for the smile-shattering saga of pastel tyranny. This is Everything Wrong with Ellen DeGeneres. Sorry to interrupt, but one click, that's all it takes. No blood oath, no secret handshake, just, thanks. God made Ellen, then regretted it. Now that we have set the tone, let's start with a bit of background story. Ellen DeGeneres was born in 1958 in Metairie, Louisiana, a place so aggressively average it practically screams starter suburb. Raised in a conservative Christian household with a speech therapist mom and an insurance salesman dad, Ellen had all the makings of a future sitcom star, or at least a woman who'd one day fake laugh through hundreds of interviews. After her parents divorced when she was a teen, because of course they did, she bounced between homes and schools, eventually attending the University of New Orleans for just one semester. Then she dropped out. Why? Because studying is hard when you're destined to lecture millions on kindness from a leather armchair. She worked as a house painter, oyster shucker, and vacuum cleaner salesperson. Basically, everything except humble once she got famous. Her relatable beginnings were later weaponized as proof she understood the common folk, even as she racked up Emmys and real estate. America's favorite smile-powered dictator. Ah yes, the Be Kind queen, who ran her show like a medieval fiefdom ruled by passive-aggressive glances and HR violations. For over a decade, Ellen DeGeneres fooled America with pastel cardigans, awkward dancing, and relatable monologues. But in 2020, the curtain finally dropped, like Ellen's interest in basic human decency. BuzzFeed reports and ex-staff testimonies painted a grim picture of a workplace that was less finding Dory and more finding HR. Racism, intimidation, and a complete lack of empathy? So much for kindness. Turns out being nice on camera doesn't mean squat when you're a tyrant behind the scenes. It was like finding out Mr. Rogers screamed at interns. Celebrities started side-eyeing her like she farted on Oprah's couch. In the end, the Queen of Nice got dethroned by her own PR lies. And we were left wondering how many forced smiles and fake giveaways it took to cover up the chaos backstage. Stand up, sit down. Back in the 80s, Ellen DeGeneres started as a stand-up comic. And yeah, she was funny, until she stood up for herself only. Her observational humor had America chuckling over toothbrushes and dating, while she was allegedly chewing out assistants behind the scenes. But hey, she was the relatable one, unless you actually knew her. Steve Sharippa, Bobby Bacala from The Sopranos, straight up called her an a-hole. Not in a jokey, ribbing way, but in a let's not invite her to dinner kind of way. So while she cracked jokes about being quirky and awkward, insiders say her real quirk was being aggressively cold and emotionally unavailable. You know you're not a people person when Hollywood, the land of fake smiles, thinks you're too fake. Her charm wasn't a personality, it was a script. And once that laugh track ended, so did the illusion. The closet door slammed shut. 1997 was Ellen's big I'm gay moment, and honestly, respect where it's due.
I'm gay.
She came out on national TV and in her sitcom, making her a pioneer. But after the applause faded, the phone stopped ringing. Hollywood ghosted her like a bad Tinder date, and for a while, her career flatlined harder than one of her punchlines. She went from starlet to silent faster than network execs could say, advertiser backlash. Now, coming out back then, brave, inspirational, important. But let's not forget, this moment eventually became the cornerstone of her entire brand. She rode that trailblazer wave straight into talk show stardom, cashing in on acceptance while reportedly treating staff like disposable props. Iconic, yes, but also strategic. Because Ellen didn't just come out of the closet. She monetized the whole damn thing and built a mansion on top of it. Friends like these. Being friends with Ellen DeGeneres must be like hugging a cactus. Occasionally warm, but mostly painful. Once adored by stars from every corner of Hollywood, Ellen's Rolodex shrank faster than her show's ratings after 2020. Enter Margaret Cho and Rosie O'Donnell, two comedians who aren't exactly known for sugarcoating. They publicly torched Ellen for being a fake friend who ghosted them after fame hit. Rosie said Ellen snubbed her for years. Pretty ironic coming from someone who made her name by begging people to be kind. Apparently, kindness had an expiration date. Rumors of cliquishness, exclusion, and social pettiness began swirling faster than Ellen could do a dance spin. And let's be real, when Rosie freaking O'Donnell calls you out for being too cold, that's like Gordon Ramsay telling you your insults are too harsh. Her Hollywood allies became ex-friends, and her authenticity melted like vegan ice cream in the sun. Welcome to the Ellen cult. 2003. The Ellen DeGeneres Show burst onto TV like a confetti cannon of choreographed joy, quirky monologues, and awkward white lady dancing. America fell in love with the pastel-wrapped charisma machine who told us to be kind, while making us watch audience members fight to the death over free toasters. But behind the cameras, it was a workplace so toxic it made Chernobyl look like a spa retreat. While the front-facing Ellen gave away trips to Disneyland, backstage employees reportedly got trips to the HR office, if they were lucky. Allegations included racism, intimidation, and a general vibe of don't look Ellen in the eye unless you're Oprah. And in 2020, the whole rotten core spilled out like a glitter-filled piñata of trauma. Turns out, the show's signature dance moves were really just people dodging accountability. The only thing more impressive than the ratings? How long she kept that facade polished without a single kindness wrinkle showing. Guest or hostage? Watching Ellen interview guests was like attending a comedy show in a police interrogation room. Case in point, the 2012 push-up contest with Michelle Obama. You'd think the First Lady of Fitness would enjoy a little exercise, right? Nope. What looked like playful banter was basically Ellen flexing her power, literally and figuratively, while grinning like a benevolent dictator. Whether it was forcing Taylor Swift to relive every ex-boyfriend in rapid-fire slideshows, or tricking Dakota Johnson into an awkward birthday call-out, Ellen turned interviews into emotional landmines. The vibe. Let's humiliate you on national TV and call it quirky fun. Celebrities smiled, but their eyes screamed, "Why did I agree to this?" Even viewers started noticing how often guests seemed cornered, like raccoons in a recycling bin. And let's be real, when A-listers look like they'd rather be stuck in LA traffic than on your couch, you've officially crossed from talk show host to emotional puppeteer. Actually, no Ellen. Yes, the moment the internet collectively gave Dakota Johnson a standing ovation without leaving the couch. In 2019, Dakota showed up to the Ellen DeGeneres Show for what should have been a cute little promo appearance, but instead became the televised equivalent of a public execution. Ellen tried her usual passive-aggressive shtick, accusing Dakota of not inviting her to a birthday party. Big mistake. Huge. Dakota clapped back with the now immortal line. Actually, no, that's not the truth, Ellen. Boom! The audience gasped, the crew probably flinched, and Ellen blinked like her cue cards just betrayed her. For once, someone on her own show refused to play along, and the internet turned it into a gladiator battle. Spoiler, Dakota won, flawlessly, with just one sentence. Pop the bubbly, lose all respect. 2008. The year Ellen thought pressuring a woman to reveal her pregnancy on national television was peak comedy. Mariah Carey sat on that couch, glowing and clearly trying to deflect, when Ellen whipped out champagne like a game show host with zero chill. "If you're not pregnant, drink it," she said with that forced smile only sociopaths and sales managers have mastered. Mariah awkwardly sipped, visibly uncomfortable, and dodged the question. Fast forward, Carey later revealed she was pregnant at the time, and tragically miscarried shortly after. Suddenly, that bubbly moment didn't feel so bubbly. Fans and critics alike slammed Ellen for turning something so personal into a gotcha gag. Because nothing says "be kind" like ambushing a vulnerable woman on daytime TV for ratings. Well, congrats, Ellen. You turned champagne into one of the coldest, cruelest moments in talk show history. Taylor Swift's dating life is not a joke. Remember that time in 2012 when Ellen transformed Taylor Swift's love life into a carnival game? Ding, ding, ding. Guess the ex-boyfriend. Ellen threw up a slideshow of every man Swift had ever stood near, all while Taylor begged her to stop. You could literally see her soul leaving her body on air. "It makes me feel bad," Swift muttered. A rational human would take that as a cue to change the subject, but Ellen doubled down like she was trying to win a stuffed bear at a state fair. The crowd laughed, but the internet didn't. Critics later called it out for what it was: harassment with a laugh track. Because what's funnier than reducing a young woman's emotional life to a punchline, right? This wasn't cheeky banter. It was a full-blown violation wrapped in commercial breaks. And Taylor, bless her heart, stayed classy, while Ellen cemented herself as daytime TV's most persistent boundary bulldozer. Mean Girl activated. You'd think sharing a comedy scene in the 80s would earn you at least a hello from Ellen DeGeneres. But apparently, Margaret Cho's existence wasn't glittery enough for daytime royalty. In a 2025 Variety interview, Cho recalled being treated like a stranger on Ellen's show, despite their shared history. And we're not talking minor cold shoulder. We're talking full-on Mean Girls, you can't sit with us energy. Cho didn't hold back either. She called Ellen mean, creepy, and basically accused her of pretending they never met. Like, Ellen's brain ran a delete all command the minute she got famous. That's the thing with Ellen. Her memory seems perfectly fine when she's pulling out obscure facts about celebrity dogs, but suddenly goes blank when it comes to acknowledging fellow trailblazing comics. It's not just bad manners. It's an ego trip so high it needs pressurized oxygen. Bowie praises, Ellen deletes. Imagine getting a compliment from David freaking Bowie. Yes, the Starman himself. And then finding out it got chopped from your TV appearance like expired lettuce. That's exactly what happened to Margaret Cho, who revealed in 2025 that Bowie praised her outfit during a taping of Ellen's show. The cameras caught it. The moment existed. And then, poof, deleted faster than Ellen's apology drafts. Why? Who knows? Maybe Ellen didn't want her spotlight shared. Or maybe compliments not aimed at her automatically hit the cutting room floor. Either way, it was petty, pointless, and perfectly on brand. Cho was left feeling disrespected, the audience never saw it, and Bowie fans missed a rare gem of kindness. All because Ellen's production team runs like a middle school clique with editing software. Be kind? Nah. Be petty, be controlling, and make sure no one else sparkles too brightly on your turf. Friendship deleted from memory. Ah yes, the great friendship between Ellen DeGeneres and Rosie O'Donnell, killed by one shady comment on Larry King Live. Back in 1998, Ellen was asked if she and Rosie were friends. A simple yes would have done. But Ellen chose, "We're not friends," with the kind of ice you normally reserve for exes who keyed your car. Rosie later shared how that moment wasn't just hurtful, It basically nuked their bond from orbit. It wasn't about one sentence. It was about the vibe, the distance, the calculated coldness of someone who only turns on the charm when the cameras are rolling. Because while Rosie was out here fighting for visibility and equality, Ellen was busy deciding who made the cut for her inner circle of shiny, non-threatening allies. Turns out, Ellen's loyalty comes with terms and conditions, and if you don't fit the brand, you're out faster than a bad punchline. Vegas vibes were not nice. Long before she danced her way into suburban hearts, Ellen DeGeneres apparently had the bedside manner of a DMV supervisor. In 2025, The Sopranos actor Steve Schirripa dropped a spicy memory bomb in a cracked interview, recalling how Ellen was a jerk to everyone during their early Vegas days. That's right, Ellen wasn't corrupted by fame. Fame just gave her better lighting. According to Schirripa, her mean streak was already fully formed while the rest of us were still trying to beat Minesweeper. She didn't smile, didn't mingle, and treated people like they were tracking mud on her metaphorical carpet. So, while her later persona preached kindness, generosity, and giggling with the help, the receipts from her past say otherwise. You don't just wake up one day and become awful. It's a process. And Ellen was apparently ahead of the curve. Dance, peasant, dance. If there's one thing Ellen loved more than controlling the edit room, it was forcing people to groove against their will. For years, her talk show's unwritten rule was, you dance or you die. Taylor Swift? Pressured. Audience members? Dragged up like they owed her a soul. What was pitched as fun was often visibly awkward, with guests squirming like teenagers at a school dance, while Ellen clapped like an overenthusiastic gym teacher. Clips of these moments resurfaced during her downfall, with viewers cringing at the not-so-subtle coercion disguised as quirkiness. Because nothing says daytime delight like watching someone panic dance while a celebrity host stares at them expectantly. The vibe? A mix of smile for grandma's camera and say you love it or we cut your mic. Ellen's dance command wasn't just annoying, it became the symbol of her whole show. Shiny, shallow, and built on the illusion of consent. Twitter broke the spell. In 2020, comedian Kevin T. Porter did what entire PR firms couldn't. He cracked Ellen's image open like a glitter-filled egg. His viral Twitter thread, asking for stories about Ellen being one of the meanest people alive, became a digital bonfire of behind-the-scenes horror stories. Baristas, assistants, makeup artists, all lined up like it was Black Friday at Trauma Mart. And boy, did the internet deliver tales of pettiness, insults, weird power plays, and enough diva behavior to make Mariah Carey look humble. This thread didn't just trend, it detonated. The Queen of Daytime got dethroned by a hashtag and a long overdue collective eye roll. Speak now or forever hold trauma. 2020 was the year Ellen staffers collectively said, "Nah, we're done pretending." BuzzFeed News dropped a bombshell report detailing the hellscape behind the Ellen DeGeneres show. And spoiler, it wasn't exactly sunshine and tote bags. Employees spoke out about a workplace ruled by fear, where microaggressions weren't just common. They were practically part of onboarding. Unfair firings? Check. Retaliation for taking medical leave? Check. Feeling like you're auditioning for Survivor, daytime edition just to keep your job? Check. For a woman whose entire brand was be kind, Ellen sure seemed chill with a set that ran on intimidation and whisper networks. These weren't anonymous haters. These were her own people. The report didn't just dent her image. It smashed it, torched it, and served it cold. Because when your victims finally speak out, no amount of dancing or puppy giveaways can save you. Kindness. Unless you're black. It turns out Ellen's "be kind" mantra had some fine print. In 2020, black staffers shared experiences of being overlooked, disrespected, and outright sidelined on set. Microaggressions? Constant. Equal treatment? Optional. One employee said they were reprimanded for requesting a raise, while their white peers got promotions and high fives. Another said they were called aggressive for doing literally nothing aggressive. And who was held accountable? No one. BuzzFeed's investigation painted a picture of a production team that ran on the whitest shade of beige, with Ellen somewhere in the background pretending her hands were clean. The show's senior producers were called out for fostering this culture, while Ellen's response was basically, "Who? Me? If I didn't know is your go-to excuse every time someone reports racism under your watch, maybe don't build your empire on being the poster child for empathy." Dancing past the misconduct. 2020 just kept getting worse for Ellen, because it wasn't just rudeness and racism in the headlines. BuzzFeed also exposed multiple sexual harassment allegations against her top producers, including Ed Glavin and Kevin Lehman. Staffers accused them of inappropriate touching, lewd comments, and abusing their power like they were auditioning for the worst bosses in Hollywood. Ellen tried to play the "I had no idea" card again, but fans weren't buying it. You can't host 16 seasons of The Ellen Show and then suddenly act like you just wandered onto set. If your name is on the show and your face is on every mug, you don't get to hide behind plausible deniability when the people you hired are allegedly turning the workplace into a frat house from hell. The backlash was swift. The producers left. Ellen gave a shaky on-air apology, and her reputation took a nosedive with no trampoline in sight. Warner Media says, yikes. By mid-2020, the rumors weren't rumors anymore. Warner Media launched a full-blown investigation into the Ellen DeGeneres show and, spoiler alert, it confirmed what everyone on Twitter had been screaming for months. Ellen's workplace was about as healthy as a gas leak in a yoga studio. Employees described a culture of fear, gaslighting, and don't speak unless you're a golden retriever in a costume. Warner Media found enough dirt to fill a sandbox, leading to producer firings and forced rebranding efforts. Ellen's empire had gone from whimsical to "we need legal counsel" in record time. You know things are bad when your workplace gets officially labeled toxic by the people who gave the world Westworld. The investigation didn't just validate employee complaints, it validated the collapse of Ellen's entire brand. Because once HR gets involved, no amount of surprise celebrity cameos can dance you out of accountability. The enablers. Ellen didn't build her empire alone. Oh no, she had a squad, a posse, a full-blown Toxic Avengers lineup. Enter Ed Glavin and Kevin Lehman, two senior producers who were basically the Dementors of daytime TV. According to 2020 reports, these guys didn't just run the show, they allegedly ran it into the ground, creating a culture of fear, favoritism, and casual misconduct. Staffers said these were the enforcers who did the dirty work, letting Ellen stay squeaky clean while they handed out passive-aggressive threats like Tic Tacs. Think of them as her personal bouncers, if bouncers also insulted your clothes and fired you for taking a sick day. And the best part? They allegedly shielded Ellen from the backlash, because nothing says strong leadership like hiding behind your minions while the empire burns. Toxicity isn't a solo act, it's a group project, and these guys brought the glitter glue and gasoline. Oops, not really sorry. After months of silence and headlines louder than her studio DJ, Ellen finally addressed the scandal in 2020 with what can generously be called a performance. Her on-air apology was so stiff it made cardboard look expressive. She cracked jokes, blamed unnamed people, and somehow managed to say everything and nothing all at once. The Guardian, and basically everyone with a functioning moral compass, called it out as tone-deaf, dodgy, and emotionally bankrupt. You could practically hear the PR team hissing from the wings, "Read the cue cards, Ellen!" Smile. But America didn't buy it. This wasn't a teachable moment. This was damage control in pastel. No accountability, no emotional weight, just another fake moment from someone who built a fortune off pretending to care. For someone who made empathy her brand, Ellen sure made remorse look like a contractual obligation. Who me? I had no idea. In 2020, Ellen's defense boiled down to the most overused excuse in celebrity scandal bingo: I didn't know. After 17 years as executive producer, mind you, Ellen claimed she had no idea what was happening backstage. No clue about the racism, the firings, the harassment, just a sweet little host dancing cluelessly while Rome burned behind her couch. Industry insiders, including several former staffers, called BS faster than you could say, edited for time. Ellen was famously hands-on with everything from guest segments to camera angles. But this? The toxic stuff? That just slipped past her. Sure, January. If you're going to plead ignorance, maybe don't have decades of interviews where you brag about being involved in every creative decision. You can't wear the crown and dodge the guillotine. If you knew, you're complicit. If you didn't, you're incompetent. Pick one, Ellen. The end of an era and a reputation. In 2022, the Ellen DeGeneres show was quietly laid to rest. Well, as quietly as a flaming PR disaster can go down. After 19 seasons, hundreds of episodes, and enough forced dancing to last several lifetimes, the show ended not with a bang, but a wheeze. Ratings had tanked harder than a reputation at a BuzzFeed interview, and Variety directly linked the show's cancellation to its toxic workplace fallout. The once untouchable queen of daytime had become a walking contradiction, preaching kindness while reportedly running a staff room full of anxiety and whisper networks. Fans left, sponsors ghosted, celebrities stopped dropping by for stage awkwardness. And with the end of the show came the end of the illusion. Ellen's legacy? Not trailblazer, not icon. Just another cautionary tale in the Hall of Fame of hypocrites. Puffy friendships, juicy timing. In 2025, Ellen DeGeneres fled America faster than a scandal leaving TMZ's front page, and people noticed. Especially since her exit lined up with two deliciously viral topics: Diddy's legal implosion and her sudden urge to live in rainy British farmland. While no proof links Ellen to anything nefarious, the internet, bless its nosy heart, couldn't help pointing out her past party appearances with the embattled music mogul. They danced, they schmoozed, they were photo op friends back when daytime TV still had a soul. And now? She's sipping Earl Grey in the Cotswolds while Diddy faces legal chaos in the States. Convenient, huh? The whole thing feels like the socialite version of I left my stove on. Except instead of a stove, it's a federal investigation. So while Ellen isn't in legal trouble, she's firmly in meme trouble. And honestly, in 2025, that might be worse. Escape from America. When Trump won in 2024, millions sighed, tweeted, or rage-scrolled CNN. Ellen? She bought a £15 million countryside estate and noped out of the US faster than you can say midterms. According to The Sun, she and Portia de Rossi packed up their dogs, cardigans, and lingering guilt and moved into a sprawling Cotswolds mansion. Because what better way to protest political chaos than by installing yourself in a British luxury farmhouse surrounded by sheep and passive-aggressive gardeners? It's the kind of dramatic exit usually reserved for Bond villains or royalty who've just been told no. And while fleeing America because of Trump isn't exactly rare, doing it in a 10-bedroom estate with wine cellars and a moat-adjacent vibe, that's just flexing your privilege in a protest trench coat. Resistance, but make it gentrified. Trouble in tea country? Turns out Ellen's Be Kind motto doesn't translate well in the Cotswolds either, especially not to her new neighbors. In February 2025, The Sun reported that Ellen's attempt to extend her countryside mega mansion led to a good old-fashioned UK planning clash. Translation: she broke some housing rules and the locals were not amused. Because nothing screams good neighbor like building an ego wing next to a field of sheep without proper permission. And in Britain, where zoning laws are sacred and property lines are emotionally charged, even celebs get smacked with technical breaches. It's almost poetic. Ellen escaped America's chaos only to become the chaos in a quaint English village. Forget dancing with celebrities. This time, she's dancing around planning permissions. At this point, she could buy a cabin on the moon and still manage to start a feud with the local craters. Sheep for sympathy. In June 2025, Ellen DeGeneres posted a whimsical Instagram video of sheep invading her UK property. Because nothing says "I'm just like you" like livestock on a luxury lawn. She giggled, filmed herself looking adorably overwhelmed, and pretended this wasn't the most obviously scripted PR stunt since Kendall Jenner solved racism with a Pepsi. After years of scandals, firings, and choreographed apologies, Ellen apparently decided that a herd of buying fluff balls could do what no publicist could: make people forget she built a daytime empire on awkward tension and staff misery. But the internet wasn't buying it. X users, formerly Twitter, called the stunt cringe, transparent, and her most desperate attempt since that fake apology. Relatable? Not really. The only thing sheepish about this was Ellen trying to bleed her way back into public favor. Nice try. But you can't cleanse a reputation with wool. Mower? I hardly know her. In May 2025, Ellen dropped a video of herself valiantly attempting to push a lawnmower on her posh English estate. Keyword: attempting. The clip showed her struggling with the machine like it was a medieval torture device, eventually needing help to get it going. And thus began her new character arc, the out-of-touch American lady who can't even mow grass. Social media roasted her like Sunday lamb, pointing out how this totally accidental moment just happened to be filmed in perfect lighting. Critics called it what it was: performative humility dressed up as clueless charm. Because nothing says humble new life in the countryside like fumbling basic tasks while someone records your every stumble. Pro tip, Ellen. If your redemption plan includes looking helpless in $400 yoga pants while landscaping, maybe step away from the mower and the PR team that greenlit this. Flipping kindness into cash. For someone whose whole shtick was about humility, Ellen DeGeneres sure knows her way around a multi-million-dollar property flip. She and Portia have been buying, renovating, and selling luxury homes like HGTV villains for years, racking up tens of millions in profit while casually dropping Architectural Digest tours that screamed, "Look how modest we're not." And hey, good for them. Everyone's gotta hustle, but don't turn around and brand yourself as just a nice gal when your real estate game rivals that of corporate sharks. Kindness, apparently, is easier to spread when you're flipping estates in Montecito like Pokemon cards. Her AD features ooze luxury and custom-built kitchens, while the public wonders how someone so rich and so obsessed with profit once claimed to be just relatable. This isn't a talk show host, it's a one-woman gentrification parade in pastel sneakers. George W. Whoops. In 2019, Ellen made headlines. Not for dancing, not for giveaways, but for hanging out with George W. Bush at an NFL game. Photos of the grinning duo in a luxury box sent liberal fans into full meltdown. And when questioned, Ellen responded with her favorite punchline: "Be kind to everyone." That image didn't humanize Bush, it dehumanized Ellen's entire brand. Sometimes being kind looks a lot like being willfully blind. Jailed in a mansion. Remember April 2020? The world was locked indoors, hospitals were overflowing, and toilet paper was more valuable than gold. Enter Ellen, broadcasting from her $27 million estate, complaining that quarantine feels like being in jail. Vox reported the backlash, which came in hotter than a microwave lasagna in lockdown. The internet exploded with memes dragging her for being so detached from reality, she might as well have hosted the Hunger Games from her wine cellar. You know you've lost the plot when Marie Antoinette looks at you and goes, "Girl, read the room." Greyson gets ghosted. Back in 2010, Ellen plucked 12-year-old Greyson Chance from YouTube obscurity after his viral Lady Gaga cover, signed him to her label, and declared herself his fairy godmother. Cut to a couple years later, his album flops, and poof! Ellen vanished faster than sincerity at an Oscars speech. In a bombshell 2022 Rolling Stone interview, Greyson called her manipulative. The Be Kind queen treated a teenager like an expired brand partnership. If you're wondering how deep Ellen's nice act runs, just ask the kid who thought he had a mentor but got a business transaction with better lighting. Greg Fitzsimmons' comedy PTSD. Not everyone who worked with Ellen in the 90s is still sipping her Kool-Aid. Enter Greg Fitzsimmons, a writer on her original sitcom who came out swinging in a 2025 Cracked interview. According to him, Ellen was tough, impatient, and demanding. Ellen's not a tyrant in public, but in private. She ran her shows like a bad improv sketch where only she got to talk. It's one thing to be demanding, it's another to be impossible, fake, and cruel. The persona melts down. By 2025, Ellen's Queen of Nice title was officially retired, along with her show, her public goodwill, and most of her friendships. The final nail? A string of former colleagues and celebrities who cracked the illusion wide open. Margaret Cho said she was mean and creepy. Steve Sharippa said she was a jerk before she got famous. By 2025, Be Kind wasn't a motto, it was a meme, a punchline, and a tragic reminder that behind every polished brand, there might be a pile of burned bridges and NDA ashes. And there you have it, Ellen DeGeneres. What do you think of Ellen? Let me know down below. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next video.